A key concept for thinking about the relationship between agency and structure is the concept of socialisation. This is how the position that we're born into the world affects the way that we see the world, the way that we feel in the world, and the way that we make choices. Sociology tends to think about cultural and social factors as being the most important, where in, I suppose, more broader mainstream society, biological factors seem to be the ones that dominate the way that we understand how people are. So sociology fundamentally critically engages with this, and it's become to be known as what's called the nature and nurture debate. The sensible position these days shows that it's about 50-50 in terms of what matters here. Twin studies in particular have shown us that twins that are separated at birth, while have a kind of higher percentage of maybe having similar diseases or similar traits, also due to socialisation will often be very different people as well. So this is a kind of way of thinking about socialisation as of who we become as largely and very dependent upon where we're born into the world. A key theory for thinking about this is the notions of primary, secondary and tertiary socialisation. Primary socialisation is the house you're born into and your family. This is at a very early age when really the only people that influence you are the ones that are in your own household, like your parents and your relatives and friends. Secondary socialisation is as you move out into schooling and move out into the world where you become I suppose, engaged with a wider array of people and influences. And this becomes, again, an important way of feeling comfortable in the world. Education systems set us up with a way of being in the world, set us up with access to institutions beyond the high school. Tertiary socialisation is moving out into the world further as we get a job, as we get embedded in the media and things like that. So you can see here there's a step-by-step process where socialisation theorists tend to focus on the primary as being the most important and become slightly less influential as we get older. But certainly this notion of socialisation helps us think about how some people make different choices depending on their backgrounds. Another way of thinking about socialisation is the work of Erving Goffman, who talks about what he calls dramaturgy. Dramaturgy is the idea that as we're socialised into the world, we kind of act out a version of ourselves. We perform a version of ourselves in different social situations. To extend the metaphor more, he says we understand that we learn scripts, different needs are required in different social situations. We learn what's expected of us, and we tend to regulate ourselves by what he calls impression management. In this sense, trying to impress other people or be normal or be right or be cool or whatever in those situations. So a way of thinking about this is the way that you will probably behave a different version of yourself in different contexts. Whether you're with your parents or with your friends or whether you're sitting in a lecture theatre, you'll be behaving very differently, and this is the very kind of examples that Goffman talks about in terms of that impression management. We learn the scripts and we perform that version of ourselves on these different stages. Goffman also talks about the backstage though, and this is the area of our lives where we're probably by ourselves, where we're more likely to be ourselves and is more likely to be around with people that we trust implicitly, although even in those situations we are kind of performing a regulated version of ourselves. So again, this is what Goffman calls impression management, and the theory that he's talking about here is what's called dramaturgy.